Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and I have a rather non-traditional Christmas card to share with you guys. I have these radiant neon pigment ink pads, and I've had them for quite some time now, and didn't really know what I was going to do with them. I don't often work with neon colors, but I wanted to use them. And the other day, I was sitting here looking at this Simon Says stamp, lots of snowflakes stamp set, which I used in a video last winter. And I absolutely love this set. It's just, snowflakes to me are just so much fun to play with. So many possibilities. So the wheels started turning and I started thinking like neon colors and snowflakes, and why not? So I pulled out these ink pads and I've got them in 5 different colors and they are neon. They're so much fun. So I got out all my acrylic blocks. Most people do not need this many acrylic blocks. I have quite a few of them that I've kind of built up a small collection of over the years just for work reasons and that sort of thing. And then for something like this, it really comes in handy to have several blocks so I can have all the stamps I want like laid out on the blocks and then just ink up and go without needing to like clean stamps between, that sort of thing. So basically, I'm just creating my own pattern paper here. So just picking up what colors I want to use with the different snowflakes and then stamping them onto this piece of white cardstock, which just happened to be half a sheet of regular cardstock. So it was 5.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Yeah. So stamp the snowflakes completely randomly all over it, and then once it was almost full, I then started taking some of the smaller ones and kind of filling in the areas, just to create a fun patterned effect. And then once I was done with that, I had some neon cardstock in my stash. One of the multi-packs you can get at Michael's of their like Recollections brand of cardstock happened to have some neon colors in it. So I'd got the pack for my kids to use, to create their own cards, that sort of thing. Because with a coupon, the pack is quite cheap. Their colored cardstock, though, sadly, is only like a 65-pound weight, so I find it quite flimsy. And since I don't have matching ink colors with a lot of the colors, it's not something I personally would use a whole lot of. But obviously, with these colors, I had matching inks. Plus, they work good for layering. So I die cut one of the hot pink pieces with the largest die from MFT's Blueprints 1 Dynamics. And since you're not going to see the center area because I'm going to layer it, I use that to die cut the snowflakes. And that's just a good way to get kind of more use out of your cardstock, especially if you don't have a whole lot of a certain color or you just don't have a lot of cardstock in general. You can definitely either use the center areas for die cuts or cut it out with your paper cutter. Because, yeah, when you layer it, you're only going to see that little border. So for my second card, because I am actually making 2 cards at once here, I didn't bother cutting out the middle or using it for die cuts because I already had the die cuts I needed. But if I'd wanted to, I totally could have cut that out, and I've shown that in previous videos. So I adhered my patterned snowflake paper to the die cut pink cardstock. And then the vellum I die cut with the large scalloped rectangle die from the same blueprint set from MFT. And so did that, and then I also die cut a white snowflake using another Simon Says snowflake die. That was the Alexis snowflake, and I'll have everything linked like on my blog as well as in the description box below the video. And then for the Christmas die cut, that's from the Christmas Blessings die set from Simon Says. I was going a little die cut crazy with this card, but I kind of tend to do that with all the cards I make lately. So anyway, I wanted it to say either Merry Christmas or Happy Christmas on the card rather than just Christmas Blessings. So I found this little happy banner stamp, and this was in the Peace on Earth stamp set from Simon Says. So I grabbed that and just inked it up with the Radiant Neon ink and stamped that onto a scrap of white cardstock, and then set it aside so that I can get to adhering this card together. So I grabbed my Ranger Multimedia mat to adhere the snowflakes to the vellum, and I lined up the vellum on the card front first and adhered the snowflakes first and just squeezed some adhesive to the center of the pink one and a little bit around the white. I didn't bother adhering down the entire snowflake. I kind of wanted it to, stick up a little bit here and there just for a little bit of extra texture and dimension. Plus, it just works a little bit quicker and easier if you don't have to apply adhesive to the entire, like all the little fine points of the snowflake. So adhered the snowflake down first, and then use the same adhesive to apply the Christmas die cut. And I'm absolutely loving having this fine point tip on my multi-medium bottle. It was a separate purchase. Again, hopefully I remember. I try to always remember to link to them in the description box below the video. It has changed the game when it comes to using this adhesive, having that little fine point tip. It's so much easier to use. And I've had people ask if I have issues with it clogging. I don't at all. I never have to try and unclog it. It just has been working awesome so far. So I applied the adhesive to the back of the die cut, got it all adhered, and you can see here, like, even though this is considered a matte adhesive, it still shows through vellum. So that's why I adhere the die cuts first, and then I use those as a guide to apply a bit of adhesive to the back of the vellum so that I can adhere the vellum to the card front. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in many videos. I have yet to find, even adhesives that are marketed saying they're like vellum adhesives, you can still see them through vellum, or at least I can. So I always disguise, if I'm adhering vellum down instead of wrapping it on a card, I always disguise it either behind die cuts or other embellishments, that sort of thing, because otherwise you can see it. So got that adhered, and you don't see any adhesive because I hid it behind the die cuts. And then I just used my scissors to cut out the little happy banner, just trimmed it out with my detail scissors, leaving just a tiny little border. Didn't have to be perfect. I just wanted it cut out. And I did think for a minute I was going to apply it with foam tape, but I thought I'd make this card a little bit flatter, even with the texture that's going to be added with. I'm going to add a little bit of string to it and some little enamel dots. But it's still flat enough that you can pop a card like this into an envelope and not have to pay extra postage or anything like that. And since it was convenient, I just used the multi-medium mat to adhere that little die cut as well, even, or not die cut, cut out sentiment. Normally I would just use like my mono multi or whatever, but I tend to grab whatever's on my desk handy, which obviously that one was because I was using it. And then I had some of this AmyR, it's kind of iridescent cord or string, whatever you want to call it, in my stash. So I wanted to use that on this card. I just thought it was kind of pretty. So I took a double length of it, and I'm going to tie it in a bow. And again, I've shown this in videos as well. These reverse tweezers are fabulous for tying bows and knots and everything else, especially when you're using double lengths of things and finicky kind of cord like this that tends to be a little bit slippery. I start the knot, and then I use the tweezers to hold everything in place. So it gives me the control to be able to adjust the bow and the tails and everything without the whole thing coming undone or having to do weird little acrobatics with your fingers. So yeah, if you don't own a pair of reverse tweezers like this, I highly recommend them. I use them on almost every card I make just for different things. They're great for just holding die cuts, all sorts of things. So yeah, totally love having those. And then once my bow was where I wanted and how I wanted, I had these little doodlebug. I think these were from one of their spring collections. These are glittery enamel dots, and they are so adorable. And I've been hoarding this pack for months now, or a year. I can't even remember when I got them. It might have been well over a year ago. But I love them. They're so cute. And the colors, of course, match these neon colors. So I pulled them out and used a few on the card front. And then there you can see the second card I had made with the die cuts, which you're not going to see in a minute once I adhere it to the actual card. But before I did that, I just take some regular Scotch tape and tape it over the back of the cord here. This was something I started doing years ago when I was always using ribbon and cord and all that kind of stuff on my cards. I put the tape over it, and it keeps my ATG adhesive from catching on the ribbon because that happens quite often usually. So it just makes things go on a little smoother. Plus it keeps the cord in place so that it doesn't get, shifted or moved at all during the adhesive process or during the mailing process, whatever. So did all that, and then adhered to my card base, which is just heavyweight white cardstock and standard A2 size card, so 4¼ by 5½ inches. And then to finish the inside of the card, I have this second stamp from the same Peace on Earth stamp set. And the stamp just jumped out at me, like almost literally, It was perfect for these cards. Like the wording on the stamp, wishing you the happiest, merriest, brightest, most fun-filled Christmas ever. I was like, that's the stamp. Like that is perfect for these crazy bright neon snowflakes. So I thought for a second what color I was going to use for the inside of the card since it was one stamp, and I was like, you know what, it's long enough. Why not use all of them? So I'm using the same colors, and I just started kind of somewhat lightest to darkest within reason. Obviously, they're all kind of similar, but I kind of went yellow to the coral, the pink, the purple, and the green. And it's hard to tell on camera because I'm filming straight down, but I'm holding the ink pads on an angle and just inking it up with the edge of the ink pad. That way I'm only applying that little bit, and I'm able to kind of sponge the ink on so they somewhat a little bit blend themselves. And the ink pads, they do kind of pick up a little bit of the previous color that they touch, but since it's right on the edge, it doesn't really bother me too much. And yeah, it just works this way. And then you get this super fun multicolored sentiment on the inside of the card. So I did that on the first card, and then I wiped the stamp clean with a baby wipe before inking it up again. That way, like, I could have just inked it up a second time with the same inks in the same way, but I thought cleaning it first does help prevent extra transfer of the different colors to the ink pads. Whatever floats your boat. You could be a little OCD like me and clean your stamp in between, or just ink it up a second time and stamp it a second time. Either way works, but I thought I would just include that just to show that's what I did. So I had cleaned it off, wiped it off with my hand so that the stamp wasn't still damp, and then inked it up again in the exact same way, stamped that on the inside of the card, and normally would have been done, but just it felt like something was missing, like more color. I don't know, like these cards are kind of crazy, bright, busy, I was just having fun with it. And I was like, something's still missing. So I grabbed a third snowflake die and die cut some bright purple cardstock and adhered those over the pink ones, or pink and white ones, and then to completely finish it off, added yet another little glittery enamel dot just to kind of tie in all the colors together. And they're just fun. Yeah, fun and busy and crazy, and yeah, neon snowflakes for Christmas. Why not? So to completely kind of finish it off as a set, I grabbed a couple envelopes. I don't always do this, and yet I love when it's done because it just is the final little touch, is to stamp the envelopes because, it's awesome enough to get a card in the mail. I've been saying that a lot lately, how it's so nice to get a card amongst all the bills, everything, the junk, all that stuff. To get a card is great, and it just adds to it if the envelope is fun too. You don't have to put a whole ton of effort into it. It doesn't need to be. If you have the time and effort, that's great. Hand paint it or do fancy things. It really does add to it. You see it amongst all the bills and the junk, and you see something bright or something pretty or whatever. So yeah, I stamped the little snowflakes in these bright colors because how fun would it be to get that in the mail? And it doesn't have to be perfect because it is an envelope. And yeah, that just finished off the set. So as always, thank you guys so much for watching and commenting and thumbs upping and subscribing to my videos. All the info will be in the description box below if you're interested in any of that, the links, supplies, all that kind of stuff. And I will see you guys next time. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye.